A corruption so deep, it poisons everything. But in the shadows, a group of heroes arise. Bound by courage, they'll never compromise. Through treacherous valleys and mountains high, they fight for justice, never questioning why. Their hearts ablaze, united they stand against the forces of evil hand in hand. Oh, hear the legends of our sacrifice. In the face of darkness, we will rise with valor. Hearts will take a stand. Defend us on Freya, we'll save the land.
Good evening, everybody. Mike Geary here for Geek Pride's Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition campaign, The Legend of Our Sacrifice. With me tonight, we have Conrad as Arnold Jerkel.
Howdy doody.
We have Michael as Tharval Eldon.
Ahoy, ahoy.
We have Jace as Brother Gadden.
I'm on my way. I can go the distance.
Unfortunately, we have no Lecky, but we do have Mark as Lance.
Hola.
And Vic as Saren Sanguine.
Buongiorno.
Okay. So, let us see. All right. So, from last week, we had a rather epic journey into the mind of young Gregor, through the eyes of Kivy, the Arno's Jinn and patron. Using her, they managed to sort of push him in the right direction, and thankfully, no harm came to him. He did what he needed to do. He was very epic, very heroic, and managed to come out of the right unscathed. Or did he? So we're going to go from where we started off the last session.
The door.
The door again. The door again. And I can't remember which music I had on. Was it this one?
Tavern music.
No, that's not that. It was. Was it this one? Was it this one? Was it this one?
I'm always so reassured by the depth of notes that Matt keeps about these things.
Yeah, but the problem is I added in a load of music. I put it above it, and I was like, oh crap, because I've unpaused it. I can't remember which one it was now. But okay, it doesn't matter. We'll find it. Anyway, so actually, I might have to come out of this. That. But yes.
I don't hear any music.
Sorry, say it again.
I don't hear any music.
Yeah, I've turned it off. I'm
Okay.
resetting the API. It's all red and shouting up at this moment in time was when I wasn't playing. Right. Okay. So you, as Saren sort of lifts her hand from the door, it opens. Smoke sort of bellows forth with this sort of kind of golden light. You hear this sort of guttural, sort of low rumble coming from the door. Within, you see a sort of shadow of quite a large looking creature. You're sure you see sort of wings, but you can't be. You can't be 100% sure. Why is this decided it's breaking? I can't. Bear with me 1 minute. Let me refresh this. not letting me come in, so I can't show you what I was going to show you. Come on, do your thing. Do your thing. Come on, Roll20. Do your thing.
Do math.
Do the thing. Do the thing.
Do the thing.
Not that thing. Definitely
Mm.
not that thing. It's in public.
Don't want to do the thing, do you? Which
Do
is
the thing. Do
Just
the
the thing on the thing.
refreshing.
Do the thing.
Oh, I think we're here. Are you doing the thing? Yes, you're gathering steam. Thanks. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, and then stepping forth from the stepping forth from the smoke, you see an armor clad warrior. Now the AI art I have for this is not. I try to tell it to do a shadowy figure in the background. It just did a figure in the background, so you're gonna have something slightly different. But use the theater of the mind for this. But
Okay.
Okay, does everybody see that?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. So you're basically getting this sort of shadow in the background. Looks something like what's there, but then you see this sort of kind of armor-clad warrior sort of walking out. He's definitely bigger. Looks more sort of muscular. He's definitely not the Gregor that went in there. He comes out.
Gadden.
He comes out of the smoke and stands there and just sort of kind of looks up at the sky.
I will take a step back and just say, "We failed. Prepare yourselves."
I don't think so. And he's
I didn't
gripping
do it,
on the
possibly.
hilt. Yeah, he's gripping onto the hilt, looking at Sarah, and like, just kind of motioning like, "Ugh." But yeah, he's
Yeah, no,
gripping.
I'm-
He's just lightly, like, fingers on the tip of the hilt in case he has to go pull it out and start beating the shit out of the said dragon.
I
that's
am
come out.
taking very, very quick steps backwards because hell no, I'm not dealing with this on my own because I'm aware that I am right in front of the door.
I step forward and just extend my arm, my hand.
The warrior, is anybody hearing music, by the way?
Nope.
No, but it's okay. We're just theater of the mind.
Theater of the mind. Let me see if there's something else works.
I have this the sexy what's it, the Stewie and the sailor outfit with the ladies going around do in my head.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
The
he's
tavern
had-
music. The tavern music works. Why is that one not working? How annoying! Oof. All right, let's do this one.
Oofed.
Oofed. Okay. So the warrior brings his head down and looks at your hand and then looks around him. It's not a sense of, well, no, it's a sense of sort of not disorientation, but like he's seeing certain things for the first time. He's looking around. It's like he's getting his bearings. He's trying to sort of kind of understand what's around him. Obviously, you don't see very much because he's got a helmet on. He's in armor, but he's sort of just looking around. He's not saying very much.
Hang on, let me just see which ones I do have. Oh no. Ooh. He waits for Lance. He waits for Lance and his reaction.
I literally just stay standing there with my arm outstretched to him.
Tharavel steps forward and smiles. He sort of looks this heroic figure up and down, and he sort of he grins and just says, "If only Lady Galandra could see you now."
He looks at you. He looks at you and says, "Do I know you, friend?"
Oh, okay.
Tharavel says, "Friend, what is the last thing you remember?"
He looks around. He looks around a bit more, and he says, "I remember battle. Remember a black-haired lady. I remember you. I remember you. And you. Sort of cocks his head slightly and kind of steps back. And he takes off his helm. And in front of you, you see Gregor, but it's not Gregor. He's in human form, but he's a lot more chiseled. He's a lot more. He seems aged. He's not the young boy that you once knew. He sort of kind of starts looking at his armor, sort of kind of clenching his fist, with his gauntlet in his fist, and says, where am I?"
Can I do a religion check to see if I to sense if I smell the divine lord's magics upon him?
Yeah, you can do.
Meanwhile,
Okay.
Saren is stood there going, "Hot damn, Greco got a glow up."
Oh wow, I actually don't have a high one. Let's see what happens here. Hey, no, fuck all.
That's a crit fail.
Yes.
You know nothing.
Now, what's going to be a really good crit fail for that for a religion check?
Oh no, I think if it was, it'd be like he definitely thinks that Tiamat had won.
Yeah. I think it'd be along the lines of this is not Gregor. This is an abomination, sort of thing.
Or like the Dragon Ball, like the Tiamat won is probably how he'd think about it. So he's very suspicious at this point, not sure and unable to determine it. He keeps his hand on the hilt of Lightbringer.
I step forward and clasp him on the shoulder and say, "You're among friends, Gregor. I'm sorry that you don't have all of your memories at the moment, but you are among friends."
He sort of looks at you, and he's probably sort of, you're used to a young short boy. You now have a man who is, comparatively, obviously he's not as tall as you. You're like 7 foot or something, aren't you? What's your height?
I am No, I'm about 6 foot.
Okay, yeah. So he's comparatively, he's on a level with you now, as in he's staring you in the eyes when it always used to be you were staring down upon him.
But I maintain eye contact with him when I say it.
Yeah.
Not threateningly, just.
He says, "Gregor, remember that? Not my name though. I am Nyasal. What is this place?"
Can't do a history check on that name, can I?
If you want to.
History.
Yep. Sort of from your travels and from the different sort of places you've been in the service of Bahamut, Nyasel is the name of a well-known dragon knight who served during the Portal War. He disappeared, and not much of history was shown about where he went to and where he came from. Sorry, where he went to and what happened to him. You do know that he was, a good guy. He was sort of, known to be a good warrior and a part of the Dragon Knight Order.
Visible confusion upon his face as he realizes the name of the Dragon Knight that he's referenced. Yet the fact that he can't sense or smell the good Lord's magic and being divine on him, he's already suspicious as fuck. So he remains that way, and kind of edges towards Arno, and then he says, "He claims to be a Dragon Knight. The name Nyasel is very much remembered amongst the Portal Wars, but he doesn't smell like Bahamut's divine magic, so something is amiss."
I'm afraid this area is not my expertise. We should be wary.
Agreed. Remember, the ritual, of course, was to convert him into a follower of Tiamat. So, whilst we've done everything we can, keep your wits about you, I guess.
Are you talking loudly, or how are you doing this, by the way?
No, we're hushed. Very hushed. Not trying to deceive or anything like that, but obviously, if I have to roll a deception, he will.
Or stealth.
I'd
stealth,
maybe roll
yeah.
a stealth, because you're quite close, and if you're whispering, he may hear you.
Okay.
17.
Yeah. Okay.
No, 7. I've got disadvantage in stealth. Wait,
But that's,
you're rolling
only
stealth.
if you're making like with movement because of the.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's right. It's fine. Yeah, okay. He's not listening. He's just sort of looking around him and looking at you and sort of like making what was sort of confidence is now turning into slight confusion, or there's
I simply lower my eyes for a second and look back at him and say, "Well, Nyasel, we knew you as Gregor, and we have known you as Gregor for quite a while, but things have changed, and there's going to be a few things to figure out, I think. We are not at home as such."
Arno cuts you off, Lance. And he says, "Stop calling him Gregor. We do not know it is him. Nyasel, whom do you serve?"
Guns.
So, are you Gavin? You doing anything while he says that, or are you?
No, he's gonna. As soon as Arno says, points out, his hand clasps onto the Lightbringer.
Right.
Like,
as you sort of clasp onto Lightbringer, Niasil looks down and sort of he looks up and his eyes sort of flash in a sort of bluish flame. As he does, he sort of starts to transform into this huge hulking armored dragonborn, easily sort of 10 foot tall. He sort of, I'm not gonna say, is it gonna be, yeah, he sort of transforms into this sort of hulking dragonborn, not like the ones you've seen, like Draken or maybe the sort of platinum dragonborn you've seen, or even the dragonborn of Tiamat. This is a larger being. It has wings. It has armor. Its armor is of the same sort of kind of platinum sheen as the armor he was wearing, and there doesn't seem to be. It just seems to instantly morph into it. It's not like he's destroying his being to be this thing. He sort of just becomes this avatar. As he does, are you going to do anything when he's transforming? By the way, or are you?
Nope. We wait. He waits and sees.
We're waiting and just say, answer.
I stand there and go, I got a bad feeling about this.
As you do, you hear a sort of coughing and a bit of a spluttering coming from behind the door where he came from. He coming from the smoke, you see an old man with a few birds sort of flying around his head. He waves the smoke off and puts his hand on Niasil's backplate. Nearly instantly, the dragonborn creature morphs back into the warrior, and he instantly kneels in front of the old man. The old man says, "Well, you've met my new avatar, then, I see. Pardon his forgetfulness. The rite of rebirth is hard on anyone's mind, let alone a young mind like Gregor's."
I just raise an eyebrow and say, I was wondering if you were going to show up at some point. But I did remember you saying that you were not at your best. I'm guessing that we got your attention. Or at least Gregor did.
He sort of, Gregor or Lyasil is kneeling, head bowed. The old man sort of looks down at him and sort of puts his hand on his head and says, "I have lived many, many millennia, and I have witnessed many heroic things. But something about this boy and what he did in that place, within that dark, twisted ritual, there's something in him. He's felt it. Kivi felt it. So I give him a little bit extra strength see him through.
Can he do a history check to see if this is the Actually, no. We've never really discussed what the Avatar, what state he was when we made the pact between him and Bahamut, did we?
No, we didn't. He was at the end of the last one. He's sort of overlooking a Freya, effectively on top of the sort of mountain, and the old man sort of talks to him, and he says, "Let's do this." Pretty much.
Okay, because I'm just trying to think. Out of character, Bahamut, but in character. There was only one time that he ever met Bahamut, and that was at the agreement of the exchange to go do the to come over to this plane. So he was going to want to know if this is the if he recognized this being, the thing around them.
So we out of character, we had the discussion about who has met Bahamut and stuff before, and that will be weighing on Arno's mind. He'll sort of look at Gadden's sort of reaction, and he'll sort of look at him and just nod knowingly and just say, "It is him."
Well, because he doesn't know, he's very confused because he doesn't actually know if this is a form.
Yeah, sure, but Arno will
yeah.
will kind of. I don't know if you want to roll insight or anything, but Arno will just sort of look at your confusion and kind of know that you've not met Bahamut, you were wary, and he'll just say it is him, however you want to interpret that.
Fine. Okay, so he'll go as soon as Arno says that. He will at first wonder. He'll keep his words to himself at first, knowing full well that he's been a player in the game that in the chess game that he's had with Tiamat. So he waits first, measures his response after Lance and Gregor or Niasil have said something.
Arno will speak up directly to the old man and say, "So, this is it. The Gregor we once knew is gone."
The old man looks at you, and he sort of cracks a grin at Lance and Tharaval, and says, "Oh, Gregor is still in there. He'll find himself again, as he found himself in the right. Just take. He will not be the boy you have known and loved, but he will be Gregor. Niasil is a name given to him by me in honor of a loyal warrior taken by the darkness tooth."
I reach over my shoulder and draw Heathway's Bane, then reversing it, I'm holding it up by its handle. I offer it to Niasil and say, "I feel that this is now your burden rather than mine, Niasil."
Niasil looks up at the old man, who sort of just nods his head. He stands up and faces you and looks at Huthway's Bane and says, a tear comes from his eye, and he looked not ashamed, but he sort of hurriedly wipes it. I must apologize. Sword stirs deep emotion within me, and I know not why.
It has been carried by two of our fallen comrades in the past who you were close to, and you assumed the burden of carrying it until recent problems. And so I took up that burden, but now I have returned it to you. It seems appropriate, given your new mission in life, that you be carrying this particular weapon. And as you remember those who carried it before, I feel that you will have a lot of things to use it for.
He another tear rolls down his cheek, and a nod of, you're not sure if it's acceptance or if remembrance, or but he sort of nods his head and, thank you. Thank you. And he sort of holds out his hand and takes the sword and bows to you. He then holds it he holds it in front of him and then thrusts it into the air. As he does so, it sort of bursts into this sort of kind of blue, this sort of blue light. He sort of brings it down, and it sort of goes out. He then sort of proceeds to stand beside the old man, and just sort of look down at the ground.
Look, stone face, back at the old man, and just say, "Tell me, old man, this was not just an opportunistic gain, and that there was no other way."
The old man sort of looks at you and says, Gregor gave himself willingly to the right. Within the right, he prevailed and is now, as you see before him. This is not opportunism. I'd want to say a boon from the gods, but and he sort of kind of laughs, but I did not choose this boy. I just saw the potential in him and gave him what he needed.
Gaden releases his grip from Lightbringer, exasperated by the fact that the old man had somehow made the comment that he didn't choose Gregor, and that it seemed fairly whimsical that he could come in and try. It was almost like he'd given all of the he didn't even try to help him, and he just looks at Gregor or Lysol, who is not even who he is, knew what was going to happen anyway, but somehow it felt like to him he was like this benevolent being could have proved him wrong in every thought that he had about gods, at being omnipotent, benevolent, and looking after the individuals and that worship them. And instead he just purses his lip and he says, "They'll be outside." And just turns sort of like a little bit bitterly disappointed. And
Should never meet your heroes.
Yeah. Just walks
Pizza
away. Yeah, he just walks. He starts to walk away, very bitter about the outcome.
I just turn slightly to face Arno and nod towards the departing figure and raise my eyebrow inquiringly.
Anu nods and follows Gadden out of the room.
The old man doesn't sort of he doesn't say anything to you as they so you can sort of, so actually we'll split it up. Obviously, if you're both going off into you're doing your thing, so Arno and Brother Gadden, as you're sort of walking away from the situation, what's being said between you?
He's noticed that he can sense that Arno is around. And as soon as they're like without out of earshot by sight, so he's still probably, even if all the people that have good hearing and good perception, he's not gonna know anyway. And he's more just thinking, just get out of there before, whilst he can, because he's furious. He turns around and he says, it looks at Arno and he says, "Do you see? Sometimes you just put your faith in the god, and you can't even help one minuscule individual from making a choice that they made a mistake from." It fucking annoys me.
I agree with you. The man speaks in riddles. They act in their ways to make gains for some grand scheme that maybe we do not understand, but I refuse to believe that Gregor entered this choice willingly. I refuse to believe there was no other way. If he had a power to summon his avatar within him, surely he could have brought him back as he went in.
Thank you. You see, this is why, like, if he was actually a good, if I look, I serve a greater good. Okay, it doesn't matter what form it takes. The little person at the end of the day is the person that always needs somebody to help them up when they're down and they're kicked in the teeth.
We don't
Gregor
always need people to help us up when we're down, Gadden. And he
No. No, this is the hero complex in me, unfortunately. But there was a moment there where we could have actually had like Gregor come out, okie hunky dory, and maybe he could have done this all by himself. No, I just this feels fucked. Just feels all fucked. And you know,
brother. But I must also think that there was probably more than one worse outcome.
yeah, they could have been. And you know, this is the thing where I had to leave because in the grand scheme of things, I'm not an omnipotent god. Neither am I knowing what all on this chessboard is. All I'm thinking about is this poor, unfortunate 18 or 20-year-old boy who gave himself to a cause because one of our party members gave him the burden and guilt of being in servitude to a greater cause, and now look at where he is. He's in a blender of confusion, and he's not even in his own body. It's not even in control of his own body. So it is what it is. I just need to.
He's gone.
Of course he's gone.
The sooner we accept that this individual is not him, it's not who we remembered. Gregor is lost to us, but there are those in our companionship that have more of a history with him. Perhaps we leave them to iron out the kinks and discover for themselves the truth behind the guise.
Roll me a perception check. Both of these.
Arno can. He's choosing to. Gadden will purposely fail. He's too pissed off.
8. I'm distracted as well, it seems.
Okay. All right. Okay. No probs. Back to the rest. So the old man, he doesn't say anything. when they walk off, you're not sure if he's bothered by it or anything. He just sort of lets them do what they're doing, and then sort of looks at Lance and then Tharaval and says, "You have more questions?"
For effect, I seem to take a deep breath and sigh, and I say that I called for you. I know I'm not officially a believer, but I did call for you because I wanted to spare Gregor this, and I understand that is not always possible, but he has already lost and given an awful lot in your service. Will he recall eventually who he was? Or will it just be fragments and flashes?
He looks down. He looks at Lyasil and sort of looks back at you and says, "It is up to him what he chooses to remember and what he forgets. What the important thing is his focused mind on the banishment and what's the word? Another banish. You're kicking something
Exile.
out.
Exile.
Yeah, say exile. Of my sister from this land. His purpose, his sacrifice, like many, like Bracken, like Solden, like Elandra, he has chosen, and with his choices, his memories may or may not come back. Whatever he feels will make him stronger going forward. I have no sway. He will always have fragments of knowledge. He will understand things he doesn't understand, if you understand what I mean. But only time will tell if Lyasil, first Dragon Knight, Avatar of Bahamut, will become Gregor, first Knight, Dragon Knight of Bahamut.
I just shake my head and say, "You make many promises, old man, but somehow everyone else seems to pay the price. I just hope that in this situation we can be the friends that Gregor needs, because I'm not sure he has the god that he thought he wanted." And I turn and I walk away looking depressed, dejected.
He again, he sort of kind of he doesn't sort of react to the to it, and he sort of looks down at Tharaval and Saravel and says, "And you?"
Tharaval, he sort of shrugs and sort of gives a bit of a chuckle. You know, myself and my brother are not the most religious of minded. We leave that to the others. We've asked for things from you in the past, and we've been given riddles. But you have always led us in the right direction and been there when we needed. You have yet given me any reason to question your motives. From my memory, Gregor wished to be a dragon knight. And this mighty being that stands in front of us is what he is. He has left his boyhood behind, as we all do at some point. Myself as Rial and my brother as Rin as children. We must take the step out of childhood and become men, even if it means leaving parts of us behind. I may not always agree with your methods, old man, but I am just glad to see that he is still alive and he is not taken by evil.
He smiles and walks up to you and puts his hand on your shoulder and says, "Out of all have come the longest way. You have a bigger part to play than stay strong." He then looks down at Seren and you.
Hi. I'm just here because I'm with them. I sort of stand there awkwardly because this is the first time I've ever encountered anything like this.
Roll me a Constitution save.
I can't say. Am I literally about to pee my pants?
Here comes the
Queenie's
wee
gonna wee wee. Queenie's gonna wee.
Crit fail.
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much. Con save, yeah?
I said nothing.
Oh,
Yeah, you're fine.
Queenie's got a steel bladder.
Yeah. Yeah. He sort of puts his hand on your shoulder. You're sort of kind of mumbling and sort of like, not making a lot of sense. And he sort of, as his hand, you feel it on his shoulder. You feel a bit more calm, and you feel a bit more sort of grounded. And he says, "I'll take that as a no." He then sort of whistles, and sort of a few of his birds sort of fly back from where Arno and Garin were, and could sort of sit on his shoulder, and sort of tweet a bit in his ear, and he sort of nods his head, and then turns to Lyasil. Sir Lyasil, my hour is waning. What little I had has been transferred to you mostly. But I will give you a choice, as the choice you have made throughout this. You may stay here with your friend. And he sort of casts a smile at you. Or you can come with me. Celestial realm is being assailed by Galmarath, and will need protection. The choice is yours. Both will be dangerous. Both will be against horrendous foes. Have a moment. Should you decide to come with me, walk through that door. He turns to the Saravel and Tharavel and Saren and sort of bows his head slightly and says, well, Brother Gadden and Master Yerkel, I will be seeing them soon. I will be seeing all of you soon, I'm sure. As he sort of
Saren looks very alarmed at this.
He sort of backs off into the he sort of turns around and walks off into the door. Lyasil stands there sort of with Huthway's bane in hand and starts to sort of think about his decision. Now, this is going to be another decision for you lot to make on his behalf. If you feel like another character is maybe too much of a burden to sort of, remember and sort of bring around with you, then he can go with, the old man and sort of, pop up now and again. Or should you wish, he can remain.
Out of character, this is railroaded for Gregor to leave.
That again?
Out of character, this is railroaded for Gadden to leave. I mean, again, Gregor to leave. So, because Gregor has always wanted to do more than just be constantly forgotten and left, and that's the meme. However, having said that,
it's more of a choice for you guys. You don't have to. He doesn't have to be forgotten.
Yeah. No, but I'm setting the scheme. I'm setting the scene. Yep. So now that we've got the option of Lyasil and Gregor, this is going to sound a little bit out of pocket here, but it is basically bringing around an Arnold Schwarzenegger with like dementia. So we're going to have to figure this out and decide whether we want him to go through the character. Yeah, I know it's a bit off color, but I like the idea, but also it's going to come with a lot of drama to try and have these two warring personalities with us as an NPC, and he's going to be valuable. But the question is, do we want to add him to the roster and continuously? Because we've still got Eldrith, Ciravel as the other two NPCs.
Do you want to? I don't know if you want to walk back. It's up to yourselves. You want to sort of come back and talk with him a bit more, or sort of if you just want to have a sort of out of character conversation about it and just make a decision. It's up to yourself.
I was going to say out of character, then weave it back into character, but I don't know how everybody else wants to do that because, I mean, we have to make the decision anyway out of character. I don't mind.
He won't be.
I'm neither here nor there.
He won't be a straight.
Sorry.
He won't be a straightforward character. I think he'd be quite interesting, but he won't be a straightforward character. I don't think.
No.
Like, personally, I think it kind of adds flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I know Ciravel's there, and basically Ciravel at the minute, sort of tends to tag along. But whenever Ciravel first came into it, there was a lot of drama and everything that went on, which was part of their sort of story arc and everything like that, which did make it sort of quite interesting. And we had to go through stuff, basically it almost ended up one point where Ciravel and Tharavel were fighting each other. But yeah, I mean, I think I quite like that. You know, where it sort of adds a bit of flavor rather than where what we had with Gregor before is like we were like, right, we're gonna go to do this, and we're like, oh yeah, where's Gregor? He doesn't really do anything. Whereas this, he tends to have it. There's a bit of interest as to what's going on with him.
I agree.
I think
Because, go on.
from Lance's point of view, he would want him to stay because Lance has this whole thing of not wanting to let people down, and he feels somewhat guilty and responsible for Gregor having been there all the way along and knowing that he hasn't always been the best of comrades to him, and obviously he would feel that he wanted him to stick around, and I think that would work from that point of view. Is that whole thing of whether he remembers or whether he doesn't would be a big tug of war for Lance emotionally, which would be interesting.
Anyone else?
I think the difference here compared to like an Eldareth or a Cerebel, who are, our additional ones, this feels more like an extra party member rather than a tag along, like with his status. And I just feel like we out of character, we don't need another party member that doesn't have a real person behind it. And I just feel like although there could be sort of interesting things in the development with him being around, unless he was utilized like as one of the party, would probably be doing him a disservice as a character. So my preference would be that he remains in the background, but that's purely because I feel like he would need to be like properly one of us at this stage. So there's no more leaving him behind. He would be one of the six, seven of us, and I just don't know if that's necessary for us as players.
So I agree, but I think that there's the other angle because of the things isn't like Lysel Gregor is going to be party.
Can't hear you, man.
Matt,
You dropped out, Jace.
Yeah.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I had to turn off the noise removal. Right. So, having Gregor and Lysel around, as Conrad's pointed out, is going to be another character, which is fine, providing that we all know that he is there, and because the danger of having a character like Lysel, who is God blessed, is that he could suck the air out of the room by his presence alone. In most situations, that's the first thing. Secondly, the plot point of progression is going to be taxing on you, Matt, because when we have interactions, for instance, Lance and Ciravel have a very deep relationship with Gregor, and then there's now the added complication of being a divine avatar to which Gadden then adds to the mix. I don't mind that drama. That's great. I'm just laying it down that this is going to happen, and that when we take agency of Lysol, we can figure it out, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be all able to coordinate this well. But then the second bit is going to be, okay, so he's going to make encounters harder for you. So we have, the balance of the encounters is going to be much different.
I understand that.
And is he going to overshadow the party? And we don't want that. You don't want to do that to your players, really.
Or if you do, it's fine if he takes the only time he'll ever overshadow the party, we need our asses saved, which is probably not going to be likely, considering they're all level 15 and pretty souped up as it is.
Well, again, my sort of argument against that is basically with Cerevel. I mean, he's another party member, and he just, I basically run him as I switch between the two and it's basically like having two characters. Now that obviously it's I'm kind of responsible for Cerevel myself, and they are twins, so they're
Yeah.
pretty similar and everything like that. So there's not that much sort of juggling between.
But you
I
got a nice
suppose-
balance there. You got a nice balance because of that. So I guess like if we keep him on the roster, technically we'd need to replicate. I would like a replica of what you're doing, because then that way it's easy to manage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean,
Well,
somebody
that's
would
what
have
I'm
to.
saying. I mean,
Somebody would have to take control of it, effectively. Be sort
Yeah.
of.
and I mean, again, like that's I think it depends on the person whoever takes him, and everything like that. I
Mm.
mean, the one thing I suppose with the Cerevel and Tharavel is they're basically identical, so it's basically playing the same person twice. So it's not, there's no real
Yeah.
difference. Whereas, say if you're like a rogue or a cleric or something like that, and then you've got this guy and he might be a little bit different from what your character is, so it allows you the opportunity to sort of role play in a
Mm.
different way as well, so.
I get the reason I've given you the choice is because I didn't want to railroad you and just kind of go, you find Gregor and then buggered him off. The idea was maybe like, because you forget him all the time and might as well just get rid of him, and then you've got sort of, you can say he's doing epic things and he's in the background still, and every now and again he can pop up and stuff. But if you want
basically do a Valshul.
exactly.
Yeah.
So he could sort of, he can come back and forth if you want. But conversely, to give you that free choice, he's not going to be super powerful. He's going to be. You guys are effectively demigods in your own way, effectively as it is now. He's going to be on it like he was a level 7, as he was.
Yeah.
So he's he's doubled it. He'll be effectively a level 15. We can sort of mix around different things. He'll be on your same level. He'll just maybe have some homebrew stuff in there to sort of tie in with some bits and pieces. Personally, I think it might be a good interaction with Brother Gaddon, who's sort of a bit you've got this thing and you've got this doubt in Bahamut, and you're effectively a religious doubt as well, and I think that that sort of dynamic might be quite a good one. But again, I understand, if it's too much to deal with, it's no problem.
So here's the thing, right? I'm more than capable of putting it in there, and it's very straightforward. If, say, for instance, it makes more logical sense that Lance and Mark actually has that relationship with Lassel and Gregor because of how close they are together. And if I was playing in the shoes, it would be essentially taking back a pupil who had stopped becoming a pupil, became a master themselves, but they don't know anything about it, and you're having to retrain this individual all over again from scratch. Whereas if Gaddon was the custodian, it would be different. It would be a tug of war between.
I know, but I mean, it wouldn't be as in you. Lance could do what I'm not, because Lance has got Eldrith already. So I'm trying to give, everybody has their little sort of, maybe it's like tag along. So it doesn't have to be. You could play him if you wanted to, and then he could be not under the tutelage, but Lance could be trying to help him remember and sort of bring him back to the way it is, and you could be how he deals with it. And you can then have that interaction between him and Gaddon, and that sort of the potential friction that's in there. It could be
I'm for it. No, listen. I know, and I'm trying not to be resistant. It's not me coming across as resistant about it. I'm just making sure that you're all aware that this is what it looks like, because like I will, if that comes down to it, and there's that weird, we'll take it as to how it would work. I'd end up playing Lysol rather confused the whole time, amnesiac, but then when it comes to the decision making things, it'll be very clear cut. So, and I think it'll be a great it'll be great dynamic with everybody, because we know that there's ebbs and flows with it. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm like, whilst gone,
I feel like the amnesia angle could work though, because he can't remember Gregor at the moment. So I feel like from that point of view, that would really, really work, because it's playing into the whole character as he is now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he'd start off. I think it'd be like an evolution where he would do certain things just because that's maybe what's sort of implanted in his head that he needs to do. But as not finding his humanity, well, I guess it is finding his humanity.
It is
again.
finding his because is he Dragonborn or is he half?
He's not dragon. He's sort of surpassed. So you can have ones like in certain cases if they succeed well enough within the rite of rebirth, they can keep their own form. Just sort of with the power of that. So it's effectively because you guys he was going to be a dragon, but because you guys pretty much got full score and the whole thing, I was like, oh well, he's just he's his own guy and just super hard.
He's just hot, basically.
Awesome.
So yeah, it would be effectively him finding his humanity. He'll be a child in certain ways because he won't understand certain things and certain he won't understand certain dynamics and stuff, and he might it can cause a lot of things. I don't want to cause problems for people. I think it'd be a good.
No,
story
you're not.
arc.
It's not a problem. It's not a problem, honestly.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
understand.
Just,
it's going to make it harder for me because you're going to have another powerful NPC, which means I'm going to have to ramp things up. But in the end, I think
it means he can
bring out some nasty beasts. Yeah.
I think sort of story wise it could add a bit to it and stuff. But again, I'm very sanguine, agnostic about it. So it's completely up to yourselves how you want to do it. So
I mean,
either or. I see him as a weird cross of Tom Hanks in Big. And,
yes.
The Rock in the second Jumanji film.
Yeah. I get you. So I mean, I personally really like this idea anyway. I just didn't want to be like gung ho excited about it in case there was any trepidations about it. But also, I like the fact that there's opportunity for everybody to have different levels of relationship with this new character. Adds a bit of flavor and spice to things. And if we are happy with keeping him and continuing with him on the arc, I mean, I'm going to have a more active involvement in where Lysol and Gregor goes, and what he does in terms of decision. But also, it's not just going to be me. Like, obviously, other people can weigh in and say on it. It's just good to not have too many cooks in the kitchen with Lysol, if that makes sense.
It's also sort of a way of him connecting with everybody again. Effectively, he is, for all intents and purposes, Gregor is important to. Lance and Tharavel, effectively. You guys have come in pretty late, so he's not really. He's just a guy who you've heard about, and he does some things and stuff. So this way, I guess you have a way of, for the people who don't know him well, to connect with them, and for the ones who do know him, to reconnect with him and try and get that back. So you've got two angles that you can work with. But again, completely agnostic to it. It's not an issue either way.
That being said, I mean, I think I'm in the minority here. If this was Democratic vote, I would say get him to go off somewhere. But I'm okay with him staying around if everybody wants him to. The only thing, and I'm also happy to take control of him. And on that note, I'm just thinking, because of obviously Tharavel and Lance have been the longest, but then like Arno is sort of next with the history with Gregor in where he's come. So I'm just thinking in terms of encounters with Gregor and stuff, maybe it would make sense more on that side, and I wouldn't have this natural clash of Gadon and Lysol and all of this. Being able to operate in that way. If we wanted to keep him around, I'd be happy to take control of him in a sort of neutral light. But
one thing I was just thinking was, though, that with Kivy having been watching over him and everything else, is there a potential for there to be a certain amount of jealousy by Arno if she still has a certain amount of affection for him, having got through all that compressed time and being...
I'd say he's got past that.
Yeah.
I think their dynamics shifted a lot and stuff. It's not what it was.
Yeah.
So,
I'd agree.
I'm easy. I feel like the four of you are all keen to have him stay. So
it doesn't bother me. I mean, it's ultimately, it's going to be one of you three that's going to be controlling him. So
yeah.
Or Saren could. Could after or
yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's either going to be Gadden, Darren or Arno, like, or
It would
but,
not
you
be
know,
me.
even
That would be the
we're
worst
obviously
idea.
forgetting about Barty as well, like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. I think Barty Barty. I don't know how much of a relationship he would have had with Gregor. So
Very little.
and that's something that, you know, again, he has an opportunity to explore, and if he'd weighed in, that would have also, you know, given I think that would have changed the dynamic slightly. I think, and here's the thing, right? If we're putting in it logistically, I'm actually technically with Conrad that this is going to be too many eggs in the basket.
Yep.
However, I'm very seduced by the potential of Lysol and Gregor and like how they can add to the story.
I can always sort of like, you know, certain, I don't know, I can do things if it becomes a bit too cumbersome, where, you know, we can try it, we can try it, and then, you know, at some point, if it's getting to the point where it's sort of dragging things down or whatever, we you know, he's a
Dragging things down.
Hey, I think. Do you know something though? I think that when you do that and you do a trial period, 60 days, otherwise you get your money back, sort of situation. Like we then
this Dragonborn, he's defective.
because we need to see, like, you know, how this dynamic would work and how it would work. How, you know, all of us being in the pot. Because actually, there's 2 personalities, and technically 6 in the pot. So whatever happens, there'll be a way around it. And, you know, Matt's already said there's an exit clause anyway. So
yeah, so we can.
I'd like to try it and see if it works. But if it doesn't work, then obviously we just say,
you know, Valashul
send
can
them
come.
away.
Valashul can pop down and sort of kind of go, dude, we need you, and sort of, you know, see you later or whatever. And, you know, he can pop up again every now and again, if needs be. But if you want to have him around just for the shits and gigs to see how it goes story wise, then it might be a good.
I mean, I would point out that, strictly speaking, it's 3, because we don't know how he's going to if he reacts differently when he's in his Dragonborn form to in his Niacil form.
Oh, that's very true.
if he's a dickhead, I'm going to start calling him Vagisil.
Wait, actually, one very last salient point though, which is we've been looking around for a trump card for a while in character. We have been given a trump card, so I think whilst the idea of like saying this might be too cumbersome is out of the way, we should probably use the trump card to our advantage. And Matt, this is where we could possibly say, well, this where, you know, Lysol and Gregor have a different kind of utility outside of things. We can also send him off, do things, and he can come back at the right interval as well. So
that's the only thing that I was thinking in this whole war between Kiamat and what's his face. This would definitely work in our favor.
Yeah, and again, there, you know, within, you know, things can happen. You know, if it's not going well, things can happen. It's easy to sort of give him what he needs, as you know, give Gregor his due and what he needs, and not sort of, you know, have him do what he needs to do, but without dragging the story down. But, you know, you've got effectively a what's the word when you amnesia? So a guy with amnesia with a you know who can transform into a hulking dragon. You know, you've got a lot of areas we can work with. You know, which could really, I think, could enrich the story quite well. But again, up to you.
Well, I mean, that for me, that's the end. If you think it could work positively to enriching the story, then we should just keep him around and deal with it. It's like about who takes control,
which we can discuss off camera. Yeah,
we can
really,
do, yeah.
because then we give Lecky a chance to chime in as well.
Yeah,
and I think you can all work on his build as well. Obviously, you probably have to have some sort of maybe druid for sort of sort of semi bear shape type thing, or something along. You'd have to, you know, we could work on his build, and maybe, you know, between you could work on what he's going to be, and
min max druid. Annoy you. give him 5 different steps of wild shape with, like, you know.
Within reason, I'd say. I think he'd have to be verging on paladin / fighter, but yeah.
Yeah.
Druid sounds about right.
So
Yeah.
if we are, so I take it that we are all in favor of keeping him and seeing where he goes.
Meh.
Conrad's like,
For
"Meh."
a trial period. For a trial period. It's not
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
be like again.
30-day trial
if it gets to
period.
the point where it's just getting like you're already breezing through things. If I just can't sort of like the fights aren't. We don't do loads of fights and stuff. A lot of it is just theater of the mind, chatting and sort of going through things like this. So it's not a big issue that way. The storyline is a major part of it. If it
Mhm.
gets to the point where it's just becoming a bit too cumbersome and I'm maybe I'm stressing about it, then fine, well I'll figure a way for it to sort of go away.
Yep.
So
And do you know what? I
If-
foresee it as being very straightforward for you. You might actually enjoy this so much more because you're just letting us cook, basically.
yeah,
So,
exactly. Well,
because
again,
of
it gives you it's always better when you are writing the story. You create things and I react to it, and I think that works. So if you've got if you between yous, effectively because he's got effectively amnesia, you've got people who know him who can be the voice of Gregor. Then you've got the people who don't know him too well who can be the voice of Niasil, and then you've got the hulking beast and stuff. You've got all kinds of different ways you can work, and every
Nice little
person
Hulk.
within the party can sort of work with that. So,
smash.
Maybe we can get Pete to jump on
Nice
top of
and
him
smash.
and do the Hulk smash bit.
That's
Plus,
funny.
I think if anybody knows Matt by now, whenever he plays a game, he gets like all the expansions. So the more complicated and like stupid you make it, the more he enjoys it.
I think we kind of gathered that from his war boot the other weekend.
Oh no.
Like if you've ever
no.
played Matthew at a board game, it's not
Yeah.
just the board game; it's the board game plus every single expansion that you can possibly get for it, and it has to basically, if it doesn't last for a full day, it's a small game.
go big or go home.
Pretty much. So we did go big. We can't go home with this because we got Niasil and Gregor. So okay.
Okay,
Won't
so
fit in the door.
I'm guessing that's a general sort of yay from everybody with a meh maybe from Conrad, but accepting that as long as he goes away if it becomes too sort of cumbersome.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
All right. So so he's he's basically standing there looking at a sword, pondering his decision. If you want to come back, and maybe and say to him, sort of, you should come with us, or whatever you want to say.
Somebody needs to be the voice of reason for Gadden because he's not. He's fucked off. He's so fucked off.
I think we left without an intent of going
Coming-
back.
yeah.
So unless I would hope someone would come
Well,
and grab us or something.
I went striding off being disappointed, so if I go out and I happen to take the right turns, I'm going to bump into you two grumbling and bitching at each other.
Oh yeah, we'll just be in
Yeah,
the
we-
corridor. We won't have left the vicinity. You won't be
Don't.
bitching so much.
You're basically these two are sat there like Statler and Waldorf just bitching.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Oh god, we need an AI image of that.
Statler and Waldorf, you two.
Brilliant.
But yeah, so I came stomping around the corner and basically drive over the top of you, and then realise that I've knocked you both away. Not sort of like come between you, and I stop and say, "Are you two still here?"
Well, yeah. Why?
Uh,
Why are you back in there? I thought you'd be happy that you have Gregor.
I was a little disappointed in in our favourite god.
Why?
because
Why were you
I
disappointed?
just- he keeps equivocating, and I just felt that Gregor deserved a little bit better.
I felt
Admittedly,
this. Go on, sorry.
I get that he got in some ways what he wanted, but I get a little tired of the stories about gods being all fickle and stupid being reproduced in real life, because it's people's lives, and he uprooted his entire life and came wandering after us. And first we lost Saladin, then we lost Draken, then we lost Galandra, and he goes off and does something really stupid and gone. suddenly
Pays-
he's in the blending. He's in the blender, and he comes out with armor and a new parlor trick. And I just thought that is personal responsibility something that a god has to worry about?
At this point, Gadden laughs actually, just realizing the hilarity and thinking that he'd be mortal. They'd have mortal concepts of responsibility, and he puts his hand on Lance's shoulder, going, "Oh dear, I sometimes forget that gods don't actually change. It's like same shit, different toilet. It doesn't matter what happens." Because of their ability to, they have such like omnipotence and vast swaths of power that they are just above responsibility. And I think maybe it's just different different ways of viewing things. But I'm agree with you. I'm just fucking pissed off that he just didn't actually say, you know what, little Gregor, you fucked up. Go back and just live your life as a 17-year-old squire, being the third Gregor. Instead, he had to shove this avatar of a fucking knight in there. That sounds a veritable sentinel, and this poor boy had to grow up in the space of 5 minutes. That's mean. It is so mean.
I think I have difficulty with it sometimes because I didn't grow up in the way that you do. I've never been a child, but I was, I became what I am. And yes, I've grown since then, but I kind of learnt about what a normal child is from getting to know Gregor. Because prior to that, the only child I knew was a spoilt brat with too much power and a lack of anyone that teaching him the meaning of the word no. And I worry that maybe I'm not able to look at this rationally as well.
Do you know something though? He did give us a trump card. We were looking for something in the first place, and now he gave it to us.
I know.
Can't look the gift dragon in the mouth, as they say.
But I'm also aware that Nysel, he has no life experience as such. So which of us is going to explain to him that we made a bargain with one of our enemies to go and beat the shit out of the other one?
I'll do it.
Because I fear that the subtleties may be lost on him, and we only have a limited amount of time.
That's fine. I'm good at not being subtle. Leave that with me. As long as we're in agreement that somehow along the way, that A, accepting who he is right now and responsibility for what has happened, and B, we're not going to let Bahamut just get away with this wanton bit of irresponsible bestowing of good magic and whatever it is. And yeah, just so fucked off with this, honestly.
Obviously, because when you guys are talking, he's talking to Ceravel and Tharavel and stuff at that time. Roll me a perception check again.
Failed it immediately. Just kind of immediately fail it. He's so fucked off. He just doesn't care. He'll run his mouth.
Okay, Arno, you sort of notice the sort of bird flying, but you notice that it's just about to take a small duty, a doogie on top of Garen's head, and sort of kind of as it goes by, as it's flying over, it basically bombs him with its poo, and sort of flies. It's about to fly off. You haven't seen it, so I guess dexterity with disadvantage. Or is it just
he's gonna automatically fail it.
Yeah. So just because
he's not even. He's so pissed.
He is going to take being literally shat on.
A lion that looks like something about Mary.
Yeah.
So it's sort of, you hear this sort of kind of you see it happening, Arno and Lance. If you want to sort of, you're by all means. If you want to sort of.
No, Lance is face to face. He's gonna see the poop on the head.
And he. it's sort of just, you hear this sort of kind of twittering. It sounds kind of like sort of laughing, and yeah, it just shits on your head, and then flies off towards towards where the old man Tharaval, Ceravel, and Saren are.
Arno looks up and smiles and he says, "My mother always used to say that was good luck."
Good luck that you weren't standing there.
Yeah, I stutter a bit of a snigger, and I reach down to my belt and pull up my canteen and hand it over and say, "I think you might need some of this."
He just looks up at his hair. So his hair perfectly coiffed because the Enin don't necessarily need to do it that way. Just looks up at the shit, looks at the canteen and goes, "What do you think I am, a plebeian or something like that?" Casts prestidigitation and gets rid of it, but then looks up and just thinks, "It's good luck, by the way, Arno. I think it's good luck. I'm not superstitious or anything like that. And you know what? If that bird happened to poop on me because I happened to be talking shit about his master, then so be it. At least I get shit. It could have been a lot worse. We could have had the dark-haired lady controlling our good friend Gregor.
That's true.
And that's where the upside comes from, and that's where I think the good is. So, also, why? Just then, like, quaffs his hair to make sure it's all nice and fluffy again.
Right, are you guys going to walk back? Does somebody need to come and get you, or are you
I'm
sort
going to suggest that we go back and try and see what mess is left.
Yeah, he'll crack his neck first, left and right, and then head in with Arno and Lance.
Yep. Okay. So you sort of come back, and Saren's just sort of look. The door, like you see, Nyasil, sort of standing, sort of, with his sword, sort of looking at it, looking slightly lost. You see, Saren just sort of completely, mind blown, bemused by the whole thing. Just sort of.
Is he in his human form right now?
Yes.
Yeah, he's in his human form.
So she is like sort of like against the wall, sort of like mind completely blown, but also semi heart eyes because oh my god, he's got hot.
Oh, there we go. We got another angle.
And at that point, when he walks in, does Gadden see the look that Saren's giving him?
Oh yeah, go and give me a perception check.
Okay, fine.
Don't fail this one because this is gold.
Okay, fine. I'm not very good at perception, by the way. Says me with a 24.
There you
go. Alright, so he sees the googly eyes that Saren has looking at Nysel, and he just says out, "Easy, Guidi." Just says it out loud.
Oh, hi, you're back. Hi.
Ceravel turns around you and says, "He's only 16."
I just shake my head. 16. I look at her. I look at Nyasil. I look at the water skin that's in my hand. I unscrew it and I just tip it over the top. I say to her, "One cold shower. Please don't look at our friend like that because he's a little bit too young for you."
So
Tharaval sort of, I'm not sure what you're doing at this moment in time. It's sort of, you're standing there. Obviously the old man's gone back into the door.
What did he say? He just he sort of asked the question pointedly at Tharaval.
Tharaval says, you've never led us astray before, blah blah blah, and No.
I was in like, what is he? Yeah, no, he's gonna ask Tharaval what the old man said.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, apologies.
Well, he basically asked us our opinions. You, Lance, and Arno all gave yours, and rightly so, you're allowed to have your own opinions, and be disgruntled with them. I can't honestly say I agree or disagree, but as I said to him, for a person who's not of faith or religion. He hasn't let us down in our real times of need. And as far as Gregor himself is concerned, although his mind may be lost and he may not be himself at the minute, he is what he wanted to be as a man, and he is no longer a child. He'll be respected. He'll be powerful. He'll be strong. And I think that's basically what he wanted all along, and was putting himself into harm's way to try and prove it. But it just wasn't his time. Now it is.
You know, for an elf, you're a veritable font of wisdom. Know that.
Duh.
One that happened to accidentally singe his most beloved prized coat suddenly spouts out wisdom comparable to that of the old dragon himself. So,
Saren
Yeah.
sort of only just clicks. I was like, wait, that was
and he just looks at her and he's like, uh-huh.
Arvel points at Green as and points at look at the pretty man. Look at the pretty man.
He's,
So-
he's,
Well-
he's currently smoldering while looking at his sword. He's sort of kind of glancing up and
It's like, oh.
I just sort of did like he's sort of like
Oh!
doing stretches.
Oh! They just like muscle.
Sarah's just like
1001, 1002.
3. Acknowledge me. Acknowledge me.
He's picking some flowers, but he's sort of like bending over and like
Brilliant.
She's proper scundered.
Brilliant. That's it. She's gone. That's it. We found.
Why you all?
There's like long dark hair, dark complexion, beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop
I
it.
think that explains an awful lot.
Yeah. So, it's Saren at this point, visibly, emotionally, and physically confused. Is she? Question mark. Okay, well, I mean, I've got a 24 in perception. I just want to confirm with the DM.
Am I serious? Are you going to make me do a con save right now?
I don't know. I mean, that's because you're going to wet yourself.
It's a bit of slate on a string and there's some chalk. I put a sign around her neck that says emergency lighting person.
Oh, brilliant.
Man.
So then, I think Gadden looks to the rest of the party and then looks at Niasol and he says, "This was a bit unorthodox of a meeting. You don't actually remember me unless, of course, you happen to have memories of Gregor, and Gregor remembers me. I'm sorry for walking out on your inauguration, I guess. I think this whole situation was a little bit complex for me to process at that moment in time. But I think now that we're back in the room, we welcome you back. I think, like everybody here, is glad that you have returned. But also, we don't really know who you are yourself, and so we're here to help. And we will go through this path together, and see where it goes, because Gregor chose this ultimately, and it would be foolhardy and disrespectful for us not to respect his wishes as your new form now. But also, it'd be disrespectful for you because we never gave you a chance to actually get to know us and for us to get to know you, considering the old man bestowed this situation on us. So, I'm sorry, Narsil.
Arno will look at this creature for the first time, really, in his eyes. And he says, "I will remain here for you, and I will find you and help bring you to the surface. and just nods.
I look at the others and I just step forward, and obviously he's still looking a bit confused, so I'll just put my hand on his arm and say, Lysol, I've known you for a long time as Gregor, but while Gregor made that choice, you didn't. And as such, I will understand, and I will be there as a friend if you'll have me, while you figure out who you are and where you want to go from here, but you will always have a place with us.
Anybody else saying anything to him? Or
Well, I mean, afterwards, Gadden's gonna just push up like Seren's jaw as it's picked up from the floor.
Hey baby,
I'm
how you
fine.
doing?
How you doing?
How you doing?
Sarah's just like, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Nyasil looks at the sword, looks at Hithway's Bane, and looks at Lance and says, the story of this sword has not been fulfilled. Feel it inside me. Feel that I should, my mind tells me I should leave, help my lord in the celestial plane, but my heart looks at this sword and sees story.
Do you know that sword's legacy has many people carrying it? Gergo was the last person to carry it, of course, and then Lance held it. You're right, the story isn't finished, and it would be great if you came along with us to the very end and slew the individual that put you in this position in the first place, as divine retribution, so to speak. But also, it would do the people that held it honor. Something that I think you aspire to, or you are, and you just need to be the avatar in that sense. Of course, I don't want you to feel like you've been bound by some level of guilt and duty like the rest of us may or may not have. I think that would be unfair. It is your choice at the end of the day, both you and Gregor, whether it is past, present, or future. So maybe the best thing to do at the moment is to be sanguine and just go with the flow, see what happens, and if you feel that your purpose is more rooted by every step that you take when you're hanging around with us, then I think it speaks for itself. But if you feel the calling of the good Lord is asking you to go back and fight against Galbarath and his fuckery, then we won't stop you either. All right? He just looks at everybody else like, just in case.
He looks at he looks at you, and sort of a bit of a smirk comes on his over his face, and he says, I have a memory of a city brothel, and he sort of looks at you, and he smiles, and he goes, I apologize, brother, but yeah, I can't say I remember, but when you spoke, it just popped into my head.
I feel that is a conversation for another time.
And so it may
I went to a brothel. That's it. You know, if you want to find out more, Ask me later.
He
The pussy went to get some pussy.
Looks at Tharavel pointedly. Is like, now, that's a little bit too on the nose, don't you think?
he sort he sort of straightens himself up and sort of cricks his neck and puts Huthway's being on his back. He then looks at the door, which just starts to close over, and then says, "I guess I have more time for more memories with you."
Oh, get out! Get out! Emotional.
And then turns to Sarah and goes, "And you, my love." Wink, wink,
Sorry,
nudge, nudge.
Hoot, 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 hoot.
I feel like Seren's gonna have disadvantage on all her dexterity checks when he's around.
Distraction.
Distracted.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. He's willing to stick around, and character wise and stuff, we'll need to sort of work on that sort of as a group. I think on how he's going to be, what's he going to be, and then sort of work on his. Because if somebody's taking who's going to take control of him, and then they can sort of put in what they feel is going to be his character.
Conrad's put in quite a good description there for Gregor the Reborn.
Yeah, where?
I just put it in the WhatsApp while you're talking. I had a good idea of a subclass that I've never tried before that I think would be quite fitting, but we can talk about it.
Okay.
Awesome.
Ooh, I
Okay.
like this already.
Okay.
I like this. Okay, girl, I'm here for it. Ooh.
So yeah, he's sort of willing to go, and then we can sort of work on the conflict and the twos and the fro's with it as we go on.
Yeah.
I guess we can do a little bit more moving on if you want to. Otherwise, we can just leave it at that point. That's up yours.
I was gonna say, we probably want to figure out our next plot point before we at least close because it's 15 minutes. And
Yeah.
it's-
Okay. So you've got a decision now, of carrying on. I'm going to say maybe Gregor sort of Niathil will Niasil will.
How are you spelling that, by the way?
Nyiacil.
Okay.
Nyiacil.
Yeah.
Like
Niasil.
that.
Yeah, Niasil.
Cool.
He's going to maybe stay in the Temple of Devotion. There's going to be more people will start sort of kind of congregating, seeing this new sort of kind of night. There'll be whispering and things going on. Obviously Barty, Arno, and Brother Gadden are, if you're sticking around, you can do. Lance, you're off to Waterside, and Tharavel, Ceravel, and Saren, you are off to Whispering Shore.
Yeah, I think the plan we had in place before, nothing's changed on that. The only thing different now is I think Arno would go to the others before they part and basically speak with Lance and Tharavel and say, no matter what happens with Gregor, Niasil, whoever he is now, I think perhaps best you allow me to watch over him while we remain until your return. We will be able to keep a mindful eye on how he integrates with normal society.
And I just ask that maybe you try to avoid getting him roaringly drunk.
I don't know if you noticed the company here, but we're not exactly the L.
Oh no, looks over at Tharafal and Sarah and smiles and says, "Don't worry, Lance. You know I don't sleep. I'll keep an eye on him."
I resemble that remark.
And
We
you
know
know
you
what?
wouldn't.
Oh, sorry. It suits you. It suits you very well to be like a hammered princess. You know, fine. That's why
I
we
just-
gotta.
I
Oh,
just look
no.
her up and down and say, "Okay, Rosie."
But
Okay.
it's yeah. You have safe journey though, and make sure that whatever you discover along the way, it's not at the cost of yourselves. So, if you encounter anything that is of our enemy, so to speak, don't fight them on your own and don't play heroics. Not until we're around anyway. And also,
When do I ever play heroics? Actually, don't answer that. Don't look at me like that, brother.
sorry, Lance, you were saying.
I've been mostly able to keep myself out of trouble for a little while. And
Mostly.
But-
You're probably the
Occasion-
principal component of like, oh, I'm just gonna pat them on the head, send them 15 yards across the room.
I can only promise that I'll try to avoid shortening people too often.
Please, I mean, physical contact to the minimum if you can, because one, then we won't. The only lead that we'll have if you go missing is that you went to the shore, and secondly, I don't think that that's something we want to be doing right now. So I don't. I guess I'm a concerned compatriot. Not that I
Um,
should be.
Where were the elves going? What kind of
They're gonna
you
go.
were going to search for stuff, right?
Yeah,
On
going
the
to search the old
Artif-
battlefields to see if we can find any artifacts or anything that possibly belong to like high up.
So Arno will go to you before you leave as well, and he will summon his owl Flynn. He'll whisper something to him, and then he'll come and perch on Seren's shoulder, and Arno will say, "Flynn will go with you. He will obey your command. Use him."
Animal companion.
Great.
So
Wow.
you don't have obviously much control over him, but Arno has told him to sort of obey. He will understand things. You just won't be able to communicate to him. So
Yeah.
you might be able to make use of his extra good sight and perception.
Okay.
Test out to see if you'll shit in Gadden's head.
It's an ethereal shit, but nonetheless a shit.
I don't know if familiar's shit.
No. Do they even eat? Do they sleep?
Okay, so you need to let me know what route you're both, because there's similar-ish positions on the map. Waterside is let me sort of put a little. I wonder if I can move this red one over here. Waterside is there. The above one is going to be Lakewood. I haven't named it, but it's going to be called Lakewood, the one straight above. So you've got the route that sort of kind of goes through Lakewood and then goes down past the lake itself and goes to Waterside. Then you can take the route that goes on towards Whispering Shore, which is, you see, not the first set of craters with flames. Yeah, the second one's there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's there.
Is that, but that, because this one here is Jorthrasta, isn't it? Which one
Jorthrasta is the one
one?
with green. Jorthrasta is green. The one that is...
Oh, the two dragon towers, that's it.
Yeah, those are dragon towers. And that is Uspizi. What's it called? Written it down. It is... it is Uspizi. I don't know where I had it in my head. I've written it down somewhere, but yeah, it's busy. It's one of the that's like the second island that fell when the corruption came. So Waterside's there. Will be not for some reason. Control C, Control V, yeah. and that is where I've got the viewers on World Anvil. Map's a bit clearer on that. So yeah, so that's your position. So there is different ways. You could go, just cross country. You could go through the Bastion of the Morning Star, which is the that one there, Bastion of the Morning Star, which
So Lance is going to the left circle, and
they're going to the right.
elves are going to the
Yeah,
right.
they're going to the right one. Obviously, you can make your way down past sort of, you're verging on. Let me. In theory, Whispering Shore is in Elathia. It's not Belmore. It's a new area, so you're within sort of, the southernmost part of what is currently the Elathian Empire.
Mm.
I've got another suggestion. Why don't we have Lecky send us to
Teleport.
to the fortress, the camp, and then we can strike out in different directions from there.
But that would be, we'd need to know where they are first and confirm. That's the whole point of finding all of these things, because otherwise, if we're just striking the fortress at two different angles, and he doesn't have to be, he's not necessarily there. I think that we covered that before.
But it's more that I was suggesting that rather than us travel all the way there, we jump to.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So
The
we jump
Bastion?
to a midpoint. The Bastion, that was it, yeah. Lost the word. So we jump to the Bastion. Obviously gives me a chance for me and Eldrith to touch base and ahead of things, and if there's any intelligence they have, and then we can both strike out in different directions and pick up our own objectives.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
I mean,
would Barty,
'cause,
well,
like-
you'll know the Bastion well, to be fair.
Yeah.
Lance, so
So will Eldrith.
yeah. Well,
So between
she's a different order. Oh, yeah, she'll have been there. She'll be there, so it's not an
Yeah.
issue and stuff. Yeah.
She'll be familiar with it. She gets around, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
Way. So yeah, obviously he can use your knowledge to sort of kind of jump you where you need to go.
But yes, if it jumps all of us, including the elves and Seren, and then we can then check up and get up to date on things. They can go south, and and then me and Eldrith can go west.
Yep. Sounds like a plan.
That sounds like a plan.
And I take it, are we role playing this out, or we're gonna also role play it, see where we get to, and then continue on the session in terms of text?
If we do the Bastion bit in the RP,
Mhm.
and then we can just pick up the two journeys and the actual endpoints in the next session. How's
Yeah.
that sound, Matt?
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool. Sounds. All right then. Cool. That's a good sort of stopping off point then, I guess.
Okay.
Right. Nice. Cool. Interesting. So yeah, we've got some RP to do for the Bastion. We have a character to build, a personality to sculpt, and we'll see how it goes. Might be the worst decision I've ever made, but yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I think we just need to model him after a certain wrestler. Personally.
Don't worry.
Yeah, see, Conrad's got it. He's got the same idea. We're braining already. We're braining before it even happened.
Can I suggest
I mean, I'm not going to complain.
in that case we need to buy Seren about 4 or 5 new canteens so that she doesn't get dehydrated.
Yeah, and make sure it's water. Oh
Strike
god.
water,
Oh,
right for other
God.
things.
I should have. You know what? This makes me feel like Cat Gadden should have taken the one level in Paladin just for lay on hands to cure her every time she gets fucking poisoned or like inebriated. Just like every time pats her on the head. Greenie, please don't be linguini when you see him. Okay.
I just start like fluffing my hair and sort of like brushing myself off every time I know we're going to see him.
It's like brilliant. All right.
Oh God.
God, like a schoolgirl. Okay, cool. Right, awesome. Well, that's I'm going to quite interesting how we go with his character. That'll be quite a good little bit of midweek D&Ding. Right, we'll leave it there. For tonight, I've been Matt Geary. With me has been Conrad as Arnold Jerkel.
Yeah.
Michael Starvel Eldon.
Acknowledge me.
He said it.
Jace as Brother Gaddon.
Acknowledge me too.
Marcus Lantz.
I'm just gonna go and get a large block of ice that I can sit around.
I really hoped Mark would have just gone yeet.
Gregor as Niasil. Acknowledge me, Saren. And Vic as Saren Sanguine.
Yeet.
Night, everybody. Bye.